Good evening, everybody. This is Brandi Fox coming back live with another episode of Talk It Out. I'm super excited to be here today with you guys. Today, we're talking about some good stuff. We're going to be talking about forecasting and your startup budget. I'm going to get into more details about that later, but I want y'all to know we're going to be dropping everything you need for you to know how to create your forecasting budget and what that looks like and how to create a startup budget, especially when you don't know how much it's going to cost to start your business. So make sure you stay tuned. Please share this on your page, especially if you're an entrepreneur. More than likely, you connected with other entrepreneurs. We want to get this information out here, and we want you to know what you can do to prepare your business and make sure that you're financially stable. So, as y'all know, I am Brandi Fox. I am the owner of Be the Entrepreneur Consulting Agency. Talk It Out is our solution-based virtual chat that supports minority entrepreneurs. And what sets this show apart from any other show that you will see on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and all that good stuff is that not only do we just talk about issues that are plaguing minority entrepreneurs, but we actually give you actionable steps that you can take as soon as this show is over to be able to get your business where it needs to get. Because what I realized as an entrepreneur, with my 10 years of experience as an entrepreneur, is that it's not really lack of being able to do things. It's really the lack of knowledge of how to adequately do things. So my goal is to provide you with the necessary resources to get what you need done so your business can start and grow. So today, as I started, we're talking about creating a forecasting and startup budget. If you are not, you can follow us on Facebook at b.the.entrepreneur.com. We're also on Instagram, and you can find this show and all of our previous shows on our YouTube channel at Be the Entrepreneur as well. Please don't forget, this is a live show, which you know, but you can also ask questions throughout the show. We will stop and answer any questions that we have because I know finances can be really tricky for startup entrepreneurs. So we just want to make sure that we're providing you with the necessary information that you need to help with your business finances. So today we will be having Lindsey on with Linz Financial. And the topics that we will be discussing is the importance of knowing your business numbers, how to create a startup budget, knowing why forecasting is important, and whether you should independently manage your finances, hire a bookkeeper, hire an accountant, or get a CPA, and what the difference in each of those items are. So a little bit about me and Be the Entrepreneur Consulting Agency. We specialize in streamlining the startup process for new entrepreneurs. We do that by strategizing, implementing, and empowering you by providing you with the tools that you need to effectively and adequately start and grow your business. Some of the ways that we do that is through a series of programs that we offer online. That includes our Institute of Entrepreneurship, which is an online digital platform where you can literally go through all phases of entrepreneurship, starting with the vision phase all the way up to the pitch phase, where we show you how to pitch your business to investors. A lot of times when people think about pitching your business, people automatically go Shark Tank mode. It's so many other people that you can pitch your business to that will give you money. That includes family and friends. That includes other people that just kind of got extra money and they're looking for opportunities to invest their money. So we show you how to adequately display your business in a good light. We also have our How to Start a Business in 30 Days ebook series. That is 8 different ebooks that cover the different areas of entrepreneurship. That includes a SWOT analysis, our third ebook, SWOT and More. That shows you how to analyze your competition to make sure that when you get in there, that you know your competition won't be an issue, that you have the tools in place to overcome that. We have book 4, which is our budgeting. That provides you with 10 already pre-filled budget templates. All you have to do is really plug in your numbers and the system computes how much it's going to cost, what you need, all that kind of stuff. And of course, our most popular ebook is book 5, which is our BTE e-business plan. It's a digitally fillable business plan where you can literally type in and work on your business plan. And it also has additional learning links. So if it's an area in the business plan, let's say we're talking about creating your mission, vision, and vision statement. don't really know the difference in those things, we have learning links in there to where you can click and see the difference between the mission, see the difference between the vision, because those are two different aspects. And we want to make sure that you know what you're doing as you're creating your business. Thirdly, we have Be the Entrepreneurship Academy. That is basically where you go through our online curriculum. And once you complete each area, you have the ability to connect with one of our experts in that area. So, for example, Dee, who will be helping us out today talking about accounting, she will be covering, she's one of our instructors. So basically, once you finish the accounting area or the finance area of your business plan, you'll have the opportunity to meet with Dee for free. Well, it's included in your package, but you'll get a 60-minute session with her where you can meet and ask any of your financial questions directly to her. So it's basically like having an accountant right there to answer anything that you have, and it's all included with your package. So not only do you learn about your finances, you also get the additional assistance from somebody who knows who they're talking about and able to help you. And lastly, we have Be the Tribe, which is our online hub where you'll have the ability to join a community of other entrepreneurs who are just trying to like start a business. You might not be ready now, but you might have an idea you've been sitting on that might be profitable. So you might want to play around, do some things, and see if this is even for you. So we also have Be the Tribe. So those are just 4 services that we have available now to kind of support you through your entrepreneurship journey. So rolling right into the show. What you should expect today. Number 1, at the end of the show, we always give away a free 30-minute consultation. You would have to stay to the end. We do it at 6:55 p.m. You will learn how you can get a free consultation with me. During that consultation, you can ask me any business startup question that you have, and I will answer it. And you get that for free just for tuning in to the show today. We also provide organic solution-based discussions. We're not just, everything we talk about is for a purpose. We're not just talking to talk. We're not just on here just to be live. We're on here to make sure that we're providing you with the solutions that I hear as a consultant from my clients on a consistent basis. In addition, we will guarantee you action-based tips that you can put in place starting today. Go ahead and get your business where you need to get it. And also, do not forget, we do have Q&A live for any topic related questions. So any questions that we ask about these finances, forecasting, if you think of something, drop it in the comment area. We'll answer it live because you never know who else is watching and might have those same questions. So now I'm going to bring Dee onto the screen. Like I said, Dee is amazing. She is my accountant for all of my businesses. I think this is our 3rd year together, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all, she started with me, baby, when we was broke. We was down. I ain't gonna say we was broke, but pamper us, we was trying to do some things. And Dee came in and she really helped me get organized. She just really encouraged me because we was just talking before we got on. Let me go ahead and bring her on. We were just talking before we got on. Hey, Dee.
Hi.
I was telling her about it's so crazy how much growth has just occurred in the past few years, for me as an entrepreneur. And I was just so excited to be able to have her on because one thing that I realized that people overlook is the importance of having somebody on your team to help alleviate all the hats that we have to wear. So I was covering my finances by myself every month. I was doing it terribly. Like I was doing the bare minimum that you could do to like run your finances. And when I was thinking about adding an accountant, I really had to talk to myself. I'm like, all right, Brandi, I'm like, dang, I'm looking at my budget. I'm like, baby, barely making it. I'm like, can I really add an accountant? Can I add that to my budget? And it was one of those things where you had to think and realize, like, I can't afford not to have her in here. Even when everything happened with COVID, just to have a professional, like she's doing my stuff every month, and just to know that all my stuff is taken care of. So if somebody requests something from me, I ain't got to search for it. I literally go into my Google Drive, I can pull that document, and I can send it right to them. And if it's something I don't have, I love the convenience of being able to email her and she'll be like, I have it over. And usually I have whatever I need in 24 hours. So that's the benefit that I find in having her on the not Pamper Us, she's on all my teams. So, but welcome. So her quote that she gave us for today is, don't tell me what you value, show me your budget, and I'll tell you what you value. I love this. When you sent it over, I was like, this is a fact. Because people do a lot of talking, but that action, it don't always match up. So can you tell us a little bit more about why you chose that quote?
Yes, because we have so many people that are quick to start up a business, but they don't understand what it takes to have a successful business. One being budgeting and understanding their finances. So, even when I start talking with a lot of small businesses, and they was like, "Oh, I have the finances," and I tell them, "Okay, let me look at your books." You know, I'll be able to tell you whether you're successful or not, because it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm doing good." But no, let me look at your books, and I'll tell you if you're doing good or not.
And that's a fact, baby, because let me tell you what, them numbers do not lie.
Not at all.
They
Not at all.
they do not lie. Um, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. And we're gonna roll this thing.
Okay.
So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is the importance of knowing your business numbers. Why is that important as an entrepreneur? I know a lot of my clients, like, they can't tell me, a lot of them don't even have a business account. Let's just start there. They don't even have a separate business account. And
Hmm.
then if you ask them how much they made, they really can't tell me. They just know they made enough to cover their base bills. So why is knowing your numbers important?
The main reason is so you can make sound financial decisions for your business. You can have a great product or great service, but if you're not able to invest back into your business or don't know what your profits and losses are, you can't make sound decisions for your company.
And that's true. I agree. Especially for people who are just starting. When you looking to grow your brand, start buying new products and whatnot, it's really hard. Are you hearing feedback on your end from me, D? Does it sound regular?
Now,
Okay, cool. I feel like when you're starting to grow and when you're trying to add new things onto your business, you have to really know how much you're bringing in, because that lets you know if you can add a new person on. An example that I would give of that, like, let's say if you own a business and you check your numbers, and let's say you bringing in $3,000 a month. All right, that's what you bringing home altogether. That's gross. Let me use the proper word. Gross. Oh, your gross is 3,000. Now, of that 3,000, let's say that you have a spot that you're using. So let's say your rent is 1,000. So now automatically you down to 2,000. Let's say all the materials for your business bring you about 500 a month. Now you down to 500. So now you down to 1,500. Now, mind you, you down to 1,500 and you haven't even paid yourself yet. So
hmm
then from there to pay your own self, I'm hoping that you ain't making it off 15, but I know it can be like that. Let's say if you just pay yourself 1,200, basically $400 a week, just to have a number, $300 a week. Now you down to $300. So,
hmm
when you have a budget and when you have your numbers, that lets you know, like, dang, after paying everything, I literally have $300 left.
hmm
What can I do with it? You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
hmm
D, what are some of the issues that you've seen that people have ran into when they don't know their business numbers?
Unfortunately, some have to actually close their business. And like you said, having it, in that example, $300 left, have they saved some money? We saw a lot of businesses in the world had to shut down even because of the pandemic. They were not prepared. It's not about just making money for this month and surviving and until more money come in to pay your expenses. But a lot of people don't think about it takes a lot. Whether you got a brick and mortar or an online business or a service, we also got to factor in being able to save money, being able to invest more into your business, whether it's marketing, advertising. You can have a great product, but if don't nobody know about it, you may as well not even have a good product. You know.
Exactly. I agree. And I think one of the areas that people really overlook, because even with budgeting, there kind of a lot of self-service products that you can use to kind of maintain, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But people overlook marketing and the importance in it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these larger companies about 30% of their money goes to marketing. That's the minimal amount. Up to 30 to 50% of the money they make goes into advertising and marketing and getting that money back. And I think that's really important for you guys to think about when you create your budget, to make sure you add that marketing part in, because that's what gets you your new clients. That's what keeps your revenue going. And when you try to be short on that part, that's when you run into the issues that I see with a lot of my entrepreneurs, where they're like, I'm not getting clients, I'm not being booked, people not buying my products. But then you tell me that you put out a Facebook ad for $10. That's not gonna that's not gonna work.
Right.
That's not gonna work. So D, what are some suggestions that you have for an easy way for people to manage, to know their business numbers? What are some suggestions, especially people like me that don't like numbers or accounting? What can they do?
Get a bookkeeper, but seriously, first, if they're starting out, I would say study the market. Study somebody who's already in the same area that you are looking to, start your business in, and understanding what does it take to successfully run that business. So, a lot of people, again, don't necessarily think about, I got to pay utilities. I have to pay, if it's a brick and mortar. I have to pay, for marketing, advertising. I have to pay myself, which a lot of people, unfortunately, don't count that part in.
Nope.
This is a business. I got to be able to pay my own personal bills. And two, which I find a lot of people that's not doing when they start a business, being able to separate business from personal. A lot of people just commingle the two, and that's a big red flag when it comes to, people don't think about what if I get audited, so we definitely have to separate the two out. And I tell people, when it comes to finances, your bank statements are like your Bible. It's going to tell you your numbers, whether you want to realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So just being able to separate out and understand, okay, these are all the expenses that I have, my overhead expenses, as well as if I have to buy inventory, if I have to pay subcontractors, what does that look like? A lot of people want to quickly go hire some people. Well, what does that look like? Understanding the payroll side of it, paying employer taxes and stuff versus a subcontractor. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with numbers when you're starting a business.
I agree. And everything that you talked about is definitely important. That finding somebody in your market, I don't know, like, is it like for me? I'm a natural, like, I don't like asking, like, I would say I don't like asking for like monetary help. I don't like that. That's not me. But like, if I know somebody has the answers to a question that I need, I'm gonna ask them. Be it like, I've been on LinkedIn. Like when I first started, I was on LinkedIn, like looking for people. Like, hey, like I didn't like, even when I think about massage therapy, I'm not a massage therapist. I knew nothing about massage therapy, how to run it, what it looked like. So you know what I did? I called people that were massage therapists. I looked it up. I'm like, hey, what are some tips you would give for this? What are some tips you would give for this? And people always think like, oh, they're not gonna help it. They think I'm competition. Even though you do have some people that's like that, but y'all, honestly, the world is not that bad. I ain't even gonna lie. People ain't that bad. It's really a lot of people out here that if you ask the right questions, they will give you the answer. And I think that's what it comes up to. Asking the right questions. An example of a right question that you can ask somebody that's in business in your field that you have that you want to ask, for example, like I used to own a mobile massage bus. So when I launched that, because it was the first one in North Carolina and South Carolina, I had a lot of massage therapists that kind of hit me up like, hey, what are some, I want to start a bus. What you do? How do I do it? You know what I'm saying? That's not the kind of the right way that you want to ask me that. Number one is because you're asking me directly how I started, what I'm doing. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is ask specific questions that you need answers to. So for example, like I had one guy and like he did it so perfect. Like I had one guy, he was like, hey, I think he was in like New Hampshire or something. He was like, hey, I already have a small bus. You know what I'm saying? I already have it outfitted. I just wanted some tips on how do you handle parking in residential areas. You know what I'm saying? So not just how you start your bus or how you run your business. He asked me a specific question for a barrier that he was having. So that's what you kind of want to think about when you're reaching out to people. Don't be general. Be really specific about the questions that you have, because they'll be a little bit more open to give you a piece of what they're doing than they are if you ask them for a broad like question. That makes sense, Steve?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So that is a tip on talking to somebody. Be specific in your question, ask it directly what you need, and don't hog too much time, because you got to remember these are entrepreneurs too. So one thing that I know that kind of like aggravates me a little bit is if somebody consistently keeps messaging me like, oh, how I do this, oh, how I do this, oh, how I do this. As an entrepreneur, and do you notice it's a time when you ask a question, and it's a time where you got to do your research and get out there and get your own answers. Then once you do your research, if it doesn't add up, then that's when you kind of reach out to somebody and reach out to different people, y'all. So many people have different aspects on how they do it. D, what would be some of the things, like as an accountant? I know it's like a million ways that they kind of do everything that they do. So, as an accountant, what are some of the ways that you kind of differentiate yourself from other accountants when you kind of talking to your clients?
Well, I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, at the end of the day, I have to make money off of this. But for me personally, I feel like I succeed whenever a small business, a person that I'm helping, when they succeed, I succeed. So I kind of get in it, involved in it a little bit more and try to help them. I don't just do wasn't just doing their books, but really giving them sound advice of, have you tried this? What do you think about this? Helping them to find ways to help them save money and to also generate more revenue.
And that's true. She ain't lying. That's a fact. She do that. And meeting people where they are. So I think that's really important. So transitioning forward, let's talk about the startup budget, because that is something that a lot of my clients are like stressed out about. Like, how do I create a startup budget? What does that look like? Where do I even start? So, Dee, what are some suggestions that you would give on a startup budget and what that would look like for a new entrepreneur?
Okay. Well, first off, I want to tell people what a budget is, because some people are like, well, what is a budget? I don't need a budget. I hear that so many times, especially when I'm teaching budgeting class. And I tell people a budget is your roadmap, a blueprint, somewhere you're trying to go. A budget is not for your today. A budget is for your tomorrow, where you're trying to get to. Because just like with this pandemic, nobody expected this to happen. But I saw where people that had budgets, they were able to, now it was still a hit, but they were able to sustain a little bit more because they were already disciplined with having a budget, and they just had to make some tweaks and stuff. So with starting creating a budget, the first thing you wanted to do is identify the amount of money that's coming in. Okay, and you got to be realistic and kind of an average. Not, you may have this 1 week where you like blown it out the park, and then the next week there's nothing. So we got to be realistic about what's coming in. Okay.
Would you do that? Quick question. Would you do that on a weekly basis? What would be, how often, like, where should they do it? Like, how much they bring in on a monthly basis? That should be.
My general rule is always 3 months.
3 months.
3 months, because again, even from, and you could do a month or 2 months. Let's just go with 2 months, but you kind of want to see a flow, because you also got to depend on what type of business you have. It could be a seasonal business.
Right.
You can't be out there selling lemonade, having a lemonade stand in the wintertime. You're not making much, but then you also can't go off of the numbers that you made in the middle of the summer, to forecast for the entire year, which I know we'll talk about, forecasting as well. So you definitely want to get kind of like an average, maybe a whole month or 2 months worth of what's coming in. And then you also want to track your spending. Okay, you want to understand what are you having to um, put out, and then with those expenses, what is your desired goal of what your salary needs to be so that you can sustain. You can't be, well, I'm not going to get a paycheck this month, but I'll get one next month, which some people have to do that at the beginning. But that's where
Amen.
that's where your budget comes in, because now you're able to say, okay, I'm gonna have to budget this month a little bit tighter because I'm just starting out. But you got to be able to make that transition. Also, with budgeting, you have to set goals. And to me, that's the first thing. And I should have talked about this first. When you create a budget, you first need to set your goals. Because if you don't have a goal, as soon as something happens, like a pandemic, a lot of times that budget goes out the window. You're not even thinking about that budget because now you're all over the place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you got goals set, then you're more likely to stick with your budget, because your budget going to be able to tell you to say no to certain things. Like, I can't do this because I'm on a budget. And a lot of people don't like to hear the word budget. But again, a budget is for your tomorrow. I want to be successful tomorrow, so I need to do these things today. And it's okay to adjust your budget. I tell people, create a budget, with a business, try to create your budget for maybe 6 months. Don't try to do a full year at the beginning of starting out, because things going to fluctuate. You're not going to think about everything at the beginning. And it's okay to adjust your budget. This is your business, your life. You're able to make those adjustments.
And that's true. And that's one thing I can honestly say that I struggle with, because I remember when we first kind of communicated and I was like, okay, I'm ready to like pay myself out. I was like, it was really stressful for me, because it's really like determining like how much do I pay myself. Mm-hmm. And I want y'all to know that, of course, I know at that time, like I say about 3 years ago, I did other things outside of my business. Like I Ubered, I lived, I did kind of all that as well to kind of maintain my business expenses. And I say that because at the beginning, that might be something that you have to do. That way you don't have to pull as much money out of your business at the beginning, which kind of helps with a budget. So for me, I'm gonna tell y'all what I did and how I got myself to be able to pay myself. So what I did was I started with a small amount. I determined how much I needed per week. So let's just say I'm like, at the time I was married, so I had that. So I'm like, all right, I need to pay myself $400 a week to be able to maintain. So at $400 a week, I'm like, I'm gonna pay myself $200 from Pamper Us, and I need to make $200 a week from whatever side gig I'm doing this week. I need to make another $200. So that took the pressure off me, because I'm like, all right, I can afford, I can slide $200 a week. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So for like a couple of months, I paid myself $200 a week. But I ain't gonna lie, it was sometimes where the money didn't come in where I could pay myself $200 that week. So some weeks, if I couldn't, when I looked at the numbers on Thursday to pay myself on Friday, if it was looking like that 200 wasn't gonna work or was gonna put me in the red, and that week I took an L on the 200. But I did not. What I didn't do, and what people tend to do is they miss 1 week and they miss the next week, and they miss the next week. You don't want to make it a consistent thing. You want to get in the habit of weekly checking your budget to make sure that you can pay yourself, and you want to try to pay yourself. Not paying yourself should be the last resort. It meaning like I can't pay myself because I'm a legit be in the red, or something else where my business won't get paid. But paying yourself should be a priority, and that's something that I see a lot of my clients, they don't do. They sacrifice their pay and they do all this work, then they feel burnt out because they like, I've been doing all this work and I have no money to show for it. So that's what Dee said. That's when that budgeting comes in. Your paycheck should be a budget. So even if you do miss 1 week, you should be prepared to pay yourself that following week. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did. And so I remember when I talked to Dee, I was like, all right, every 3 months, I'm going to increase my weekly pay by $50. And that's literally what I did. So like after 3 months, I went from 200 to 250 per week. and then 3, and 4, and then boom. Just gonna keep going from there. So with that being said, what that did was that naturally put me in a position to have a goal for my business. And what I mean by that is that pushed me to know, all right, Brandi, if you want to pay yourself an additional 200 next quarter, you got to pick up on business this quarter. So that way you will be able to cover it. So not only was I able to push myself and paying myself, but I was also able to challenge myself as an entrepreneur to push harder in my business because I knew that paying myself was a priority. So I think at the end of the day as well, like Dee said, setting goals, it's all in making yourself a priority in your business. You don't want to do all this and get burnt out and have absolutely nothing to show for it but a struggle.
Right. And one more thing I want to add to that is I tell people when you're getting ready to start out, make sure you're saving up for it. Be prepared to maybe not get a paycheck for the first 3 to 6 months. You know, everybody want a paycheck soon as they start a business, but can you sustain not getting a paycheck for so many months? Now, if it continues on, then you need to reevaluate your business. You may not have a business, you may just have a hobby. So you got to be able to do.
So we got to reflect that thing, baby. We got to reflect.
Yes, absolutely.
No, I like that. So yeah, creating the savings, that's really important. I know when I was transitioned to go full time with Pamper Us, I say, like, I check my budget. I'm like, all right, baby, I can make it a whole 6 months. If I don't make another dime, I can make it 6 months. And that's literally how I rolled out. And then that's what I use as well. When I started paying myself, I kind of supplemented myself with my savings as well. So it gives you cushion, y'all, and you need that cushion because especially when you're transitioning from like part-time entrepreneurship to full-time, you need that cushion because full-time is a whole different ballpark. It's a whole different ballpark when you're putting all of your time in something and you're not getting paid for it. It hit different than when you're doing it every now and then and not getting paid. But when you're putting in 40 hours plus, and you try to pay yourself on Friday and you can't, that thing, hey, it hurts your heart. Be sad. So create a savings, y'all, and that can be up to you. And don't be afraid to adjust your lifestyle. Like I stopped eating out. I stopped like driving. Like I really tried to minimize everything that I did. Like cable was gone. We went. That's kind of around the transition of Netflix and stuff. Anyway, any free movie website I could find, I was on it. Like literally, I cut everything. So be prepared to cut some of those expenditures that are not necessities. You're gonna have to cut it down to the bottom of the barrel. And I don't know any entrepreneur that I know that's full time now that did not make that sacrifice. So just know you can't live the life that you're living and start off as an entrepreneur. You're gonna maintain all those extra things that you have in your budget.
Absolutely.
So moving forward, I want to quickly, before we move forward to the next topic, I want to go over anybody that just kind of joined this because I see people hopping in. Welcome. Please do not forget, if you have any questions about what we're talking about, as far as your startup budget, be sure to drop it in the chat and we will make sure that we answer it live. But some of the things that Dee covered about your startup budget, and then we're going to go into a little bit more detail about what's included in that startup budget. But the first thing is step 1 is determining how much money you bring in over a 2-month time period. Creating a 2-month budget is always great because it kind of lets you know how your business does over a set time period. Tracking your spending, that's your expenses. How much money are you spending out as well over that 2-month time period? 3 is determining how much you need to bring in on a weekly basis to maintain your lifestyle. Don't forget that can include, secondary income if you got a part-time job or anything like that. And then lastly, creating a savings to supplement yourself if you have to miss work. I put week, but yeah, if you have to miss work, you want to have some type of savings in place to supplement your income. That's really, really important. And with the startup budget, some of the things that you can include in your startup budget, because I get this a lot, you want to include everything. You want to start with your expenses. I like to start with what I'm paying out first. I like to start with that. So you want to start out first with your expenses. And I'm gonna be typing this in the chat while we're talking. So start with your expenses first. Write down everything that you have to pay out. Everything from lights, materials, all those kind of things. Write that out in a column first. I usually kind of say needs, or I put products, that kind of thing. So you'll put or expenses. Put the expenses column, put everything that you have to pay out. And if you can't remember, I'm a big fan of using my bank statements. I go through my bank statements and I literally go through that. And I'll be like, okay, I got to pay this every month. I got to pay this every month. And everything that's on your bank statements that you pay out, put it on your expense list. So then you have everything that you pay out for the month. Then the next thing I put is a date column. The date column is, because I like to kind of auto my stuff for the most part, or of course, everything is due at a certain time. So next you will have your date column. In your date column, you will put the date that each one of these items are due. And for me, I like to put it in chronological order. That way, I can kind of go from the first of the month to the last of the month. So I know for me right now, the first of the month is a heavy time period for me. That's when I'm paying the bulk of my stuff, but I don't mind it. I know I got 2 more weeks to pick up anything that I lost. So first column is expenses. Second column would be your the date that those expenses are due. The third column would be the cost. How much are each of these things? I like to, if it's a varying cost, then of course, I would say just put the average of what it is, because most of the time you pay around the same amount. If it is a fixed amount, then that makes it even easier because you can just put exactly how much it is. So now you have expenses, due date, payment. And then from there, you just go to the bottom, add all that up, and that lets you know how much you spend out per month. That's an easy way to do it. And you can do that right on a spreadsheet. It's really, really easy. D, is there anything that you suggest that should be added to that expenses column outside of the expense, the date, and the cost?
One of the things as an expense, again, I want to mention about savings, because come tax time, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we have to pay back, pay the self-employment taxes. So be sure to add a set amount each month that you want to set aside, as a savings, just in case you got to pay Uncle Sam at the end of the year. So like,
baby, because he don't play.
Exactly. So you brought up a good point, making sure you write out all your expenses. And we want to get in the habit of paying all of our expenses on, you're establishing business credit as well. So you want to be able to pay everything on time, so that if you ever have to get a business loan, you're ready to do a brick and mortar, or you're ready to expand, your business, that you're establishing some credit as well. And once you have all your expenses listed out, then you can determine, okay, I need to bring in X amount of money to cover all these expenses.
Exactly. And that's why I always start with expenses, because that lets you know, like if you add everything up and that equals 1,500, and you want to pay yourself 1,500, that lets you know off the rip, you need to be bringing in $3,000 a month in sales. That, y'all, this is the literally easiest way to determine how much you need to bring in, because a lot of people don't know. Like if you ask them, like, yeah, girl, how much money you need to be good? Well, I want to make this amount. We're not asking how much you want to make. We asking how much do you need to be able to pay all of your bills, pay yourself, and still be able to save. So that is important. So expenses column, due date column, cost. And once you determine your expense total, you can determine how much you need to save and create in revenue. All right, so guys, now that you have your expenses column done, the next thing that you would want to do is do your what do we call it? Ain't revenue. What's the opposite of expenses?
It's your revenue.
Okay, cool. All right. Revenue. Okay, cool. Boom. Woo. Girl, shot myself. So then you do your revenue area. So in the revenue, you would basically in your revenue area, you would basically put how much you bring in on average. And for me, I break my stuff down. Now I do it by daily. Like I have a daily goal that I need to hit. But if you don't want to do daily, weekly is good. Like, I want to bring in, so now that you know your expenses, let's go back to our expenses column. So we know that our expenses are $1,500 a month. I know I want to pay myself $1,500 a month. We at 3,000, and now I know I want to save $200 a month. So now you know that minimum that you can bring in from your business is $3,200 a month. So what I do from that is I divide that by 4, which is 800. So now you have a goal. It's literally that simple. So now you have a goal. Now you know, for me to pay myself, cover my expenses, and save, I need to bring in $800 per week in sales. And y'all, once y'all break it down, once you know how much you need to make per week, y'all, even per day, even if you break that down per day, break that 800 down by 7 days. That puts you at about what, like like $15 a day or whatever like that. No, girl, what's that? 150. Sorry, 150 per day. I'm like, hold up, they ain't adding up. See, that's why I got D, y'all. That's why I got D. That lets you know, okay, I need to bring in between $100 and $150 per day in sales for me to meet my goals. Y'all, that's literally how you create your startup budget. It is not hard at all. It's literally just taking that time, writing this information down. Do you have anything to add on that part?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Like you said, get all those expenses, and sometimes you may need to talk to someone, because you may not be thinking of all the expenses, especially if you're just starting out. Study the market, talk to someone who's, has the experience, so you can fully understand what all the expenses entail. Because some expenses may not be monthly; they could be quarterly that you may have to pay. So just making sure you understand and capture all the expenses, and then figuring out how much money I need to make, not just to pay myself, but also to be able to sustain a successful business as well.
Exactly. And I am just typing out this example because I kind of want y'all to see it. I'm gonna call it the startup formula. So that way you guys can kind of know what that looks like. So once again, for anybody that just joined in, your startup formula to create your startup budget is and I just use base 1,500. So expenses is 1,500. Your salary that you want is 1,500. Savings is 200. You would take the sum of that and you would divide it by 4, and that will let you know how much money you need to bring in per week to meet your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to write this down, take it down, especially if you're working on your startup budget now. Like I said, I just use kind of easy pre-populated numbers, but that's literally how you would create your startup budget and let you know how much you need to make per week in order to grow your business. So next we're gonna roll into forecasting. Forecasting is something that I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle in, especially when they first start, because they like, how can I give you a 1 year or 3 year forecast? And I don't even know how much money I'm gonna make. So D, what are some suggestions that you can provide for somebody that's trying to create their forecasting budget?
Okay, and I keep repeating myself, but the best thing, especially starting out, is just talking with someone that has the experience, because you want to be able to forecast, because that helps you make wise decisions for your business. You're able to strategize. You're able to understand in the market, and as we all know, the market can shift at any point, and you got to be able to have a forecast that could sustain you. Especially, whether you got a product or a service, things can be seasonal. So you got to be able to understand, okay, I'm not, our goal is to be successful every month, but there may be some months that, we figured out a pattern to say, okay, I know in the summertime, my sales are much higher, so what, having a forecast will help me to understand my budget. Okay, I got to tighten up those few months in the wintertime because my sales are not, as good. And a lot of people's like, well, what is a forecast? And I use the example of just like if you're watching the news, they give us a forecast of how the weather is going to be. And so
I don't know that for sure. And Charlotte always, you ain't in Charlotte. Charlotte always wrong, girl. You can't trust them, girl. You can't trust these meteorologists.
Not a good example then. But a lot of times when they are right, the news people, you're able to plan better. If it's going to rain on Thursday, I'm not finna go get my hair done and plan to be outside and do a picnic on Thursday. And so that's the same way with your finances, being able to forecast and understand the market so that I can better prepare myself just in case, if something it's not going to go as planned, and also forecasting help you, make those wise decisions. Am I ready to hire people? Am I ready to branch off and start at another location? Different things. But if you're not understanding your numbers, not understanding the market, there's no way you can forecast.
And that's true. That is a whole fact, because I know for me in expansion, like with Pamper Us, my mobile massage business, I've been wanting to expand out to the Greensboro area. I think I've been talking about it for like 3 years minimum. Like every year I'm like, I'm thinking this year I'm expand. But when me and D go over them numbers were saying, no, baby, Charlotte where you need to be at right now.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Pump the brakes, Daniel. Pump your brakes. So forecasting is amazing. And the other good thing about forecasting gets me excited, because if you know me personally, or if you just know me, like I'm like a serial entrepreneur. So like when I do a forecasting and I see how much other people have made in the field, I'm like, oh, if they made 100,000, baby, I'm coming for 250. Like I can't help it. I'm always trying to go, boom. But by doing that, that gives you the opportunity to really push yourself. And also right now, another good thing, y'all, is online. Literally, we have a lot of things at our fingertips. You can go online and research what is, like, let's say if you want to be an electrician, what is the average revenue of an electrician? And they'll tell you, you can see what the average revenue is. So from there, that gives you the opportunity to kind of forecast what you can do and how you can do it. So for example, if we use that electrician example, you have to do a 1-year forecast, because if you're asking for money or any type of funding, a forecast is going to be required. The investors are going to ask you for a forecasting budget of how much you think you're going to make. And what you want to do is be realistic. So if you are an electrician, let's say if you're an electrician, you work 40 hours per week. I don't know how many hours, I'm just going to guess. 40 hours per week. That means that you can provide, let's say, 30 services in a week. Let's just throw it there. So by providing 30 services physically, you can bring in about $1,500 per week. Boom. That's kind of, and the thing is, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it to be as close to what could possibly be as possible. And then once you get your base down of how much you will make per week, then you start analyzing your growth. Okay, for this first year, it's just going to be me. So I'm going to be able to make this much. But next year, I want to hire an apprentice or an intern part-time to do 10 hours just to kind of handle those little jobs. Okay, if I'm making $1,500 from working 40 hours, and with this person that's doing 10 hours, they're going to bring in about $300 per week. Now I can predict that I'm going to bring in $1,800 based on that. So that's a simple way to kind of project what you're going to do. As you add on things, as you add on help, you just add it on to your base budget of what you could make in that field. And like Dee said, one way is to ask somebody off the rip. If you're going into a field and you're not talking to anybody else that's in the field, you're doing yourself an injustice. You really are, because people who are in the field, they're going to give you the information that you need. Even if they don't give you everything that you need, they're going to give you something that's going to help you grow your business. So I would say before anything, get connected in your network. Join a Facebook group. They got a Facebook group for everybody. They literally have a Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
Start looking for what you need. Like if you are an electrician, electricians in my area, electrician association. Email these people, ask them questions. You can't be afraid to do that groundwork when you're trying to get these numbers, but you want to be as accurate as possible, because you know this, we went through stuff like with investors and funding. They gonna ask some questions and they gonna break down these numbers. They're gonna be like, how you get this? How did you get this? Where did you get this? So if you can back that up by saying, oh, I talked to these people who have been in the field for 10 years and this is kind of what they said they had in my area. They're like, okay, boom. You've been talking to people, you got somebody, you got that extra kind of like the word affirmation of what you're doing. And like I said, lastly, don't be afraid to Google. Google has everything that you need. So literally Google what people are making in your field. Dee, did you have anything else you wanted to add on in reference to forecasting or some tips on forecasting?
I think you pretty much covered everything. The main thing I would say is just be realistic when you're doing a forecast. You don't want to set yourself up, and thinking hey, I'm gonna go make $1 million this year. Hey, we all want that, but let's be realistic. We're just starting out. We got to get ourselves out there. So just be realistic. And I'm the type of person that when it comes to the expense side, I'm very conservative. I like surprises. So I'm gonna put in enough cushion in those expenses so that I rather see it in my I make it a little bit more than I anticipated. So I'm very conservative with my numbers versus, hey, I'm gonna make $50,000 this year, knowing full well the last 2 months I've been making 15,000. So just be realistic, with your numbers when you're doing a forecast, and just really. I can't say this enough. Really study the market and understand based on whatever field you're in, talking to somebody. Like I said, Google has everything right now, and it'll help you, guide you, with creating a forecast or a budget.
I totally agree. So rolling into our last topic. And of course, Dee, I know you get this question all the time. I get it all the time. What is the best way to manage my money? I always suggest if you're doing self, QuickBooks, do you agree? QuickBooks is the number one like self business management tool out there right now, accounting tool. So QuickBooks is very good. But when it comes to bookkeeper, accountants, or CPAs, Dee, can you tell us the difference in each and like the benefit, kind of like the pros and cons of those things?
Okay, so from a bookkeeper standpoint, they are the type of people that's just going to pretty much record your data for you, and they may, send you a summary at the end of the month. They really are more like admin people, if that makes sense. They're just recording data and giving it back to you. Okay, and that's just what they do. An accountant more so analyzes the data. So they're going to take the data, they're going to give you some advice. They understand the rules, like GAAP rules, from a tax standpoint, some of the things you should and should not do, versus a bookkeeper is very general. You're giving them information, they just giving it back to you. Accountant, they're going to analyze it a little bit more and tell you, hey, try this, do this, what have you thought about this based on the market that you're in. And then a CPA is really an accountant. They are an accountant, but they have that extra, let's say, that education that how would I put it, the specific education. They've taken an exam. For me, I'm an accountant. I've been in this field for 25 years, and I sat under a CPA. So I'm able to provide pretty much the same knowledge that a CPA does. So I tell people whenever they are first starting out, there's nothing wrong with CPAs, but keep in mind, a CPA also equals money.
They're going to charge you them CPA prices.
Yes, and you're probably going to get charged by the minute or the hour. So starting out, I would not recommend a CPA unless you starting out with a multi-million-dollar company and you can hire a CPA, then go for it. But, for a very small business, I would definitely, if you can't afford an accountant, go the bookkeeper route, because a lot of people, you need to focus on what you're good at and pushing that business. Let somebody else handle the finances if you don't have any expertise in that area.
I agree. And people always, and it's so funny, even when I'm in groups, I see people, anytime I see somebody like kind of post it, not every time, but when I see people post their business or asking for specific stuff, I ain't gonna lie, I'm the type of person, I go in their profile and I'm just gonna see what your business is. So it's so funny sometimes when I go in some of these businesses and I see like they'll be like, I'm looking for a CPA, and then I'll go in and they'll have a business that they kind of like just started like 2 months ago. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, and they'll be like, and not saying like, I'll say like they're doing something like a start out jewelry company. I'm like, that CPA is, that's not something that you really need. And I agree. I think a CPA is more so for those bigger companies. Like, I would say bringing in what, like 300K, or how much would you say most people that have a CPA would need?
I would say maybe three. Yeah, that's a good.
Around there.
Again, keep in mind if you get a true accountant, they got a lot of the same expertise. But if you have a company that you're moving from, if you started, you have an LLC, or you're gonna grow so big that you're not a corporation and you got to file certain taxes and certain, reporting a different reporting structure, then you may want to look into a CPA. But an accountant can handle a lot of those things as well. But if you're just first starting out, I would definitely try to find, a good bookkeeper or an accountant.
And don't be afraid to start and then kind of grow as you can. Like, I started with self-management with Excel and a prayer. And I went into QuickBooks and I could not do it. Like, I could not wrap my head around it. I'm sorry, D. I don't know what happened.
No problem.
It like kicked me out. So I'm glad you're still here and I'm glad you're still live. But what I was saying before I went off in general was I started doing the self-analysis. I tried it and I just really couldn't wrap my head around it. And even when I got my MBA, and even with my MBA in that finance class, I just struggle with it. So that's when I was like, I need somebody to manage my finances, and that's when I got introduced to D. And one thing I loved about D was like, even though she's an accountant, at the beginning, she literally started as my bookkeeper. She literally I sent her my statements on a monthly basis. She organized my statements. She sent it back. And then as my business grew and we kind of talked, I told her my goals and what I wanted to do. And, I was like, hey, as I grow, I think I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this. And she's like, cool, I'm down. I'll grow with you. So from that time, even though she is an accountant, she really transitioned from my bookkeeper to now she's my legit accountant. Like, if I got something going on, if I need something, anything like that, I go straight to her and she takes care of it. So don't be afraid to grow. You don't really hop right into a CPA. Start small, self-managed, bookkeeper, accountant, CPA when you're ready. And there's nothing wrong with that because at the end of the day, it's your budget. At the end of the day, it's your business. And nobody knows your business better than you.
Okay.
So in closing, D, are there any tips that you can give any entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs in reference to finances, startup budget, and how to, because people scared of it. They get scared when they talk about finances. So what are some tips you can give that aspiring entrepreneur about their finances?
Again, first study the market. Make sure you can afford to, have a business. When it comes to your finances, make sure you got enough cushion to, in case you have, you know, are not able to pay yourself for the first few months. Make sure you have some money, saved aside. And it's important to write down your goals and establish a budget just so you can make sure you can sustain, make sure you can have a successful business. And it's okay to ask questions. And like you said, some people, can know how to do finances. So, get your Excel spreadsheet or QuickBooks or something. And it's okay. I have some clients where they just, on a quarterly or, annual basis, they, hey, I need for you to review things just to make sure I'm on the right track, and then they're able to take it and run with it. So don't be afraid to ask questions in regards to, but if nothing else, learn to create a budget and being able to forecast so you can make those sound decisions and understand the market.
And that is a fact. Thank you, ma'am. We have our giveaway coming up next. Don't forget, if you have not, you can subscribe online at www.betheentrepreneur.com. And when you subscribe, you do get our straight to the market checklist. It's basically 8 steps to test your business idea before you go to the market. The last thing you want to do is create a product or service and all this money marketing and advertising, and you take it to the market and then it don't sell. So just by subscribing, you get our email alerts, which we do a lot of. We send out grants, we send out loan information, we send out the recap from this video, and you will also get that checklist to make sure you're not wasting your time when starting your new business. So the giveaway. So for you guys that have made it to the end, we are doing our Talk It Out giveaway, which is where you will have the ability to get a free 30-minute consultation with me, and you get to pick my brain about anything startup entrepreneurship. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to get you the answer, and that's a 100% guarantee. So all you have to do to get a free session is go to our Instagram or Facebook page at b.theentrepreneur. Share any post on there, any post that we have on there to your story and timeline. Tag us in it, and the first 2 people to do that will receive a 30-minute session. It's literally that simple. Just share it, get a free session. And I'm excited because I really feel like that once we meet, I'll be able to kind of help you get over some of those new barriers that you have. And entrepreneurship, man, and we can be great and be ballers. Yes. A lot of millionaires, and I'm trying to create as many millionaires as possible because I ain't trying to be a millionaire by myself.
Absolutely.
But Dee, I want to say thank you so much again for joining today. I appreciate you not only as my personal accountant, but definitely coming on here and giving out that amazing information for anybody who's looking to get that startup and forecast budget and knowledge.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Good night, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm super excited. The topic is going to be talking about, we're going to have a lawyer on and a business attorney, and we're going to be talking about all things business law. Everything you need to make sure you don't get sued, you protect it, all that good stuff. We're going to be covering it. So make sure you check us out in 2 weeks and subscribe if you have not. Good night.
Bye.